So this is the harm principle. This is the very last thing that you're going to need to know about that will be included on test 1. All right? So I kind of tied this in with liberalism and republicanism, but the harm principle is the very last thing. So, English philosopher John Stuart Mill, you don't need to remember the name. He puts forward this harm principle, and this is important. It's the basis for governmental interference with individual liberty. A person cannot pursue his or her own interests to the point where it causes harm to an individual or the general community. This is the principle. My right to swing my fist ends where someone else's nose begins. That is basically what it's saying. Classical liberalism allows for government regulation if it is to protect the public interest. All right? So that is the harm principle. So Mill believed the sole role of government was the preservation of liberty, and that the only purpose for which power can be rightfully exercised over any member of a civilized community against his will is to prevent harm to others. Again, the my right to swing my fist ends where your nose begins theory. So if someone else is going to get hurt, yeah, the government can intervene. So this principle has been used to define the appropriate use of a state's regulatory power. The standard interpretation has been that the government may regulate individual liberty to protect health, welfare, and morals of a community. In 19th century America, harm only meant physical harm. Most of the economy back then was agrarian, meaning based on farming. Someone farming a plot of land really is not likely to cause harm to his neighbor on an adjacent plot of land. Farms are big. They can be big. Back in the day, you know, you're too tired after a day of farming to go over and pick a fight with your neighbor. So, in Mill's time, though, which occurred during a period of industrialization, a group of people could very well be harmed in a town, maybe down the river from a factory that's polluting, because the manufacturing waste products might be disposed of in that town, in that stream, and run through several towns. Harm could also be caused by the market forcing the layoff of millions, like we saw in the Great Depression. The United States experienced a recession between 2007 and 2009. We went through one just recently at the start of the COVID-19 pandemic. Some would say we're still in it. So, harm, the definition of harm, has expanded as we've grown as a society, is what you need to take away from this. So the evolution of liberalism has involved a shift in how people have interpreted the words harm and public health and welfare. Yeah. So if I didn't talk about it, don't worry about it for the test. But that is the harm principle in less than 5 minutes. So that is all you need for test 1. Email me with any questions.